my God. I'm really sorry.
I was in the pool!
There was a time when Thursday night meant something. You didn't scroll, you didn't binge, you just waited. You knew where you were going to be at 8 p.m. You knew who would be watching. And you knew that the next morning, everyone would be talking about the same thing. In 1998, millions of people tuned in to watch four New Yorkers argue about nothing one last time. In 2004, millions gathered again, this time to watch six friends leave their apartment and step into adulthood. Both felt like finales, both felt like endings. But only one of them may have been the last moment when network TV still owned the room. Was it Seinfeld, sharp, cynical, untouchable at its peak? Or was it Friends, warmer, broader, and somehow still pulling massive numbers even as the ground beneath television began to shift? Because somewhere in that 6-year stretch, something changed. The room got smaller, the audience got divided, and the idea that we were all watching the same thing at the same time started to fade. Good day and good night. Welcome back to the High and Low Retrospective, the place where we rewind the reels and revisit the shows that didn't just entertain us, they shaped the culture around them. Today, we're asking a deceptively simple question. Was Seinfeld the last true network giant, or did Friends carry the monoculture a little further than we remember? And while I'm asking questions, let me ask one more. What did television lose or gain when that era ended? I guess that's more than one deceptively simple question, but hey, it's more for us to talk about. Let's get into it.
Looking at cleavage is like looking at the sun. You don't stare at it. It's too risky. You get a sense of it, then you look away.
All right.
Seinfeld didn't start as a cultural force. Nope. It premiered quietly back in 1989 as a 4-episode summer experiment. No grand rollout, no sense of destiny. It was built around stand-up logic, observations about parking spaces, waiting rooms, the petty etiquette of daily life. And then something happened. It refused to grow up. Kind of like me.
It was a joke! Right.
When I heard you got engaged, I thought maybe you'd matured. But obviously, there's no growth here.
Well, I can't argue with that.
Inside the writer's room, co-creator and executive producer Larry David had a rule. No hugging, no learning. Jerry, George, Elaine, and Kramer, they wouldn't evolve into better people. They would remain stubborn, they would remain selfish, occasionally ridiculous.
I do not know how or under what circumstances the four of you found each other.
That choice, well, it sharpened the show. Episodes like The Contest proved you could build an entire half hour around an idea so taboo it was never spoken aloud, and still make it network television.
The four of them made a wager to see if they could, to see who could go the longest without gratifying themselves.
When the Soup Nazi aired, the phrase
No soup for you!
slipped out of the show and into everyday speech. You didn't have to explain it. The culture already understood.
No soup for you! Come back 1 year!
By the mid-90s, Seinfeld was unavoidable. When the Seinfeld finale aired in 1998, around 76 million people in the United States were watching. Not over a week, not algorithmically recommended, not clipped and shared. At once. Let's put that into perspective. That was roughly a quarter of the US population at the time. Today, proportionally, that would mean somewhere in the range of 80 to 85 million Americans watching the same thing simultaneously. In digital terms, it would be like a single YouTube video pulling 80 million domestic views in a day. Not globally, not gradually, but concentrated. And that almost never happens. Even the biggest viral videos now build over weeks. They scatter across borders. They fragment across feeds. The Seinfeld finale didn't scatter. It gathered. That kind of concentration is rare in the streaming era. Even the biggest Netflix releases don't reveal live simultaneous numbers. And when they boast viewership, it's usually cumulative across days, countries, and devices. 76 million. That number feels distant now, almost exaggerated, but what it really signals is this. There was still a center in 1998, and Seinfeld was sitting right in the middle of it. Friends arrived 5 years after Seinfeld, and it felt different from the beginning. Created by David Crane and Marta Kaufman, it centered on connection, on 6 friends navigating adulthood in New York City. Where Seinfeld kept its characters emotionally static, Friends allowed change. Relationships formed, they fractured, they deepened. Ross and Rachel's "We Were on a Break" became a national debate. Not a meme, but a debate. People chose sides.
We were on a break! We were on a break.
Oh, you know, Ross,
We were on a break!
we were on a break.
I guess he says that because they were on a break when it happened, that she should have forgiven him by now.
What about the time I said we were on a break?
When Phoebe discovered Monica and Chandler together in the "One Where Everybody Finds Out" episode, the studio audience roared like it was a sporting event. That energy translated through the screen. The show lived in emotion.
Adios, arrivederci, au revoir. Take 1, 5 cameras. Common.
By the time its finale aired in 2004, more than 52 million viewers tuned in to watch the 6 friends leave their apartment keys on the kitchen counter and walk out that purple-walled space for the last time. That was about 18% of the country. Translate that forward to today's population, and you're looking at the equivalent of roughly 60 million Americans watching the same piece of content at the same time. It wasn't 76 million, but 60 million is a big number. It was still massive, but it felt different. Not dominant in the way Seinfeld had felt, more communal, less towering. It didn't feel like a show that owned the culture. It felt like a show the culture had grown attached to. Between 1998 and 2004, the environment changed. Cable stopped feeling secondary. HBO dramas reshaped what prestige looked like. DVRs made appointment viewing optional. The internet began pulling attention in small but permanent ways. The center didn't collapse overnight. It loosened. By the time Friends ended, people were already watching more things, just not always the same ones. The difference isn't that audiences disappeared. They dispersed.
We're not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, it's fine if that's who you are.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have many gay friends.
My father's gay.
I know what I heard.
Heard. It was a joke.
All right, look, you want to have sex right now? Do you want to have sex with me right now? Let's go. Come on, let's go, baby. Come on.
I guess you could say a network giant isn't just a show with big ratings. It's a show that feels like gravity. You didn't stumble into Seinfeld. You were sucked into its orbit. You heard references to George Costanza at work, even if you missed the episode.
You know, why don't you open those pants? It's going to be a lot easier that way.
You understood the cadence of Kramer sliding through a door. The show shaped its speech patterns.
He caught me in a cleavage peak, so big deal. So who wouldn't look at his daughter's cleavage? She's got nice cleavage.
That's why I posed.
Why a peak?
Friends shaped something else. It shaped aspiration. It shaped the idea that adulthood could be navigated in a shared living room with 5 other people who felt like family. Both mattered, but one felt like the center holding. The other felt like the center stretching. After that stretch, the center never quite returned.
Sometimes I wish I was a lesbian. Did I say that out loud?
When attention fragments, you gain range. You get niche brilliance. You get risk. You get stories that would have never survived the old broadcast math. But you lose inevitability. You stop assuming everyone saw the same thing last night. You stop feeling left out if you didn't. That's freedom. It's also the quiet end of monoculture. After Friends, network sitcoms still thrived, but none closed with 50 million viewers again. And it's not because they were worse. No one's saying that. It's because the room had divided itself into smaller rooms.
And by the way, they're real and they're spectacular.
If the last network giant is defined by dominance before fragmentation accelerated, it leans towards Seinfeld. If it's defined by the last show that felt universally shared before universality became optional, Friends makes a strong case. Maybe the answer depends on what you're measuring, scale or simultaneity, or maybe you prefer a measurement more akin to vibes. You like it because you like it. It doesn't matter why, you just do, you just like it. What are you gonna do?
Ross, Take the Emily. Take the Rachel.
So that's the High and Low Retrospective on the last network giant. Was it Seinfeld? Maybe it was the last one to close with the lights still blazing. And maybe Friends was the last one that felt collective before collectivity started to thin. Either way, somewhere between those finales, between a courtroom of selfish New Yorkers and a set of apartment keys left behind, television stopped being one room. It became many. And maybe that's what we're really remembering when we argue about which show was bigger. Not just the jokes, not just the characters, the feeling that millions of other people were laughing at the exact same moment. Thanks for watching this one. I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe for more deep dives into the shows that shaped the culture before the culture splintered. Until next time, stay critical, stay nostalgic, and remember,
I just won $1 million.